Hell yeah. Yes. Hi.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, we are back.
Well,
A dinosaur story.
yeah, we say that a lot of the times that we start recording. But greetings and welcome back, gentles and ladiesmen, to the first Unversed cast of 2024. No, this will probably go up next year at this rate. It's the 28th. So
It's been a while.
and I'm trying to remember how we start these off.
We went on extended
So, say it.
sabbatical for a year. It's okay.
So we've returned for the first podcast of 2025 to celebrate the year of Shadow. And what a year it was, gentlemen.
You know,
we
this could also just be like a prelude to our 2024 wrap-up video. Which, I gotta say, after we talk about this, I will have maybe 3 games to talk about.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did not play a lot this year.
I mean, I got you one for Christmas that I think you will love.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
And if you could at least play it for a little bit before
Yeah.
we record the podcast, I would appreciate that.
Absolutely. I also got you a game.
Yes, I did. I accepted it today. Thank you, sir.
You want to know a fun story about that? So I went and I bought that game, right? But then I didn't see the option where it says, "Oh, buy as a gift." So I bought it for myself. So I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with RoboCop? So I had
Have you never seen the movies?
I've never seen RoboCop.
Have you never seen the movie?
No,
You've never
You
seen
should see
RoboCop.
RoboCop.
Huh?
no, it's on my watch list. I've always wanted to see it, just never got around to it.
That is one of my favorite movies.
Really?
It is a masterpiece of schlock action. Like, it's executed by it's a Dutch director. I forget his name. He also directed Total Recall and Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and Showgirls.
And his style is, and Showgirls, yes.
No, I
And
definitely
his style
know who he
is-
is.
Yeah, I really wish I could remember his name. It's right at the tip of my tongue. But the man's style is kind of like, he came into American action movies kind of ironically.
Mm-hmm.
So he sort of executes all of it in this heightened postmodern fashion, where it's just like as over the top and crazy as it possibly could be.
You have the right to an attorney? What is this shit?
Which, you know, Showgirls is a good example of that. So then RoboCop is like, it's like his take on Judge Dredd.
Yeah.
I think they couldn't get the license to Judge Dredd because they had to make the terrible Stallone one instead. So he made his own Judge Dredd with blackjack and hookers.
Literally.
Bitches leave.
It's amazing. Speaking of little stories, I've brought 3 little stories with me today to kick off the session.
Oh, good. You want to know the part
Yeah.
2 to your Christmas present?
Is it a Glock?
No.
What would that be, sir?
I'm not going to use one of my skip-ems. I got 2 left. But you know what?
No, really?
Yeah, I still have 2 left, and I'm not going to use them.
Ryan, I love you.
Merry
I'm so
Christmas.
glad that you... Merry
What a
Christmas
gift.
indeed. This is the best day of my life.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done an Uncle Mike fanfic, you know?
It's been a while since we've done anything.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm feeling charitable, and you know
Good for now.
I'm willing to hear about Ryan smelling Shulk's feet. So
I did find one where Shulk wears a dress.
Oh, yes.
And Ryan gets turned on, but we're not going to read that one today.
Okay.
Okay, so I've got 3, and I tried to keep it under 1,000 words this time.
Thank you.
And they're all Sonic themed. I tried to find 3 Shadow ones, but I didn't have enough time to find ones that were all about Shadow. So there are 2 Shadow ones and then another one that looked really funny. We've got Shadow gets a colonoscopy,
Mm-hmm.
Eggman the Hedgehog, and Shadow gets his rocks off. Which one would you guys like to read today?
I kind of want to know what it's like for Shadow to get his colonoscopy.
Yeah.
All right.
You know, we gotta cap the year of Shadow off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there'd be a lot of capping off in the one where he gets his rocks off. But decision made. All right. So this is Shadow the Hedgehog gets a
The
colonoscopy
picture.
by Dogs Bauer, aka Doug Bowser.
It's Santa.
Yeah. Merry Christmas. All right.
Shadow was a hedgehog. What a way to start.
Oh, well, why don't you be the narrator this time, sir?
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I could do it. I'll do my best ASMR.
Okay.
All right, let's hear it.
Hold on, I gotta move the tab towards my mic screen, or else I'm not gonna be looking at it. Shadow was a hedgehog. He was much like Sonic the Hedgehog, who was also a hedgehog, only he was black and had white fur on his chest and black stripes on his spines and red eyes. He also was much meaner than Sonic ever was, and often used guns and swore and was mad all the time. Shadow was in the doctor's office because he had not been feeling well. The doctor came in wearing a sterile glove.
Okay, Mr. Shadow Hedgehog, please turn over to your stomach and lie down on the examining table, please. I must insert this camera into your colon. It will not hurt,
said the doctor. Shadow instantly became very enraged and fearful of his masculinity. He did not want a tube with a camera being shoved up his bottom, because that was very wrong, and the doctor knew it. He was committing sins.
How dare you?
Roared Shadow as he jumped back off the table angrily.
You will not stick that up my butt, you sick But Mr. Shadow Hedgehog, there's something wrong about this. Oftentimes many men have them and they can save you from cancer. Please calm down,
pleaded the doctor.
No, fuck you,
screamed Shadow and pulled out his guns and aimed them at the doctor. The doctor instantly looked shocked, with wide eyes, and raised out his hands and began to cry in panic.
Oh God, please, I have a wife and 2 children. Please don't,
cried the doctor as he begged and sobbed and cowered.
You don't deserve any mercy,
Shadow said bluntly, and pulled the triggers of his guns multiple times, firing many bullets into the man before him. He fired until there weren't any bullets left in the chambers. Then he pulled out fresh magazines and slammed them into the stocks and slowly walked out the door and began firing at anybody who walked out in the hallways to see what the noise was all about. Everyone screamed and ran, and the halls began to fill with blood and dead bodies. Policemen quickly came to try and stop the deranged black hedgehog alien, but Shadow was far too strong, and he killed them all before they could shoot at him. Then he walked all the way back out of the doors to the front of the hospital and left back to his house.
He just goes home.
He threw his guns down once he got there and opened the refrigerator and pulled out a beer and drank it while watching the news. The news showed what happened at the hospital, but nobody could find him. He laughed. A few days later, Shadow began very ill and went to a new doctor who was a woman.
I want to read this.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. Shadow the Hedgehog. The test came back, and you have rectal cancer,
she said sadly. Shadow was going to pull out his hidden gun and blow her away for telling him such horrible news, but then he decided not to.
Where do you
so
hide
he went
the gun?
home and cried. And God heard him crying and cured his cancer. Shadow looked up with tears in his eyes and was silent.
Why did you cure me?
He asked. And God looked down and said,
Because I hate those people too, and you do not deserve to die that way, my son.
Then Shadow stopped crying and smiled. He went to church and joined the choir.
Nice.
See, that wasn't so bad, right, Ryan?
No, that was honestly, Dog's Bower. Good for you, man.
I may have gone a little too close to the mic during the God part, because I see some peaks there, but
Also,
was
be
gonna
sure
say.
to buy KingK's book on Audible, where he narrates his own book.
Yes, Amazon's best
I've
kept
always
secret.
wanted to do audiobook narration.
Oh, yeah?
So you know what? Although I hear it's not a fun job to have.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was today's fan fiction, everybody, and we will be doing that every time from now on.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, he's still got 2 more.
Oh yeah, we've still got 2 more Shadow the Hedgehog fanfics if you guys want to read them next time.
It's not what was said.
I still got 2 in the
Oh.
chamber.
It's like Russian roulette. You never know what you're gonna get.
It's true.
But yeah, so this has been the year of Shadow the Hedgehog. It's quite a contrast to the year of Luigi, though towards the end of this, it kind of became a year of Luigi anyway, but...
It did?
Have you been following the news?
No.
Well, I
Ryan-
didn't get that until just now.
What happened
Yeah, I
to
think-
Luigi?
No, it's all right.
Read a newspaper
There are no
after.
famous Luigis in the news
What
right
the
now.
fuck? 2024 Luigi?
Don't look 2024
Luigi? What, Luigi's Mansion 2?
This is all staying in, by the
That
way.
is-
What is this
It's fine.
free Luigi rally? Where's Luigi?
Oh.
Where is he?
Oh my god. It's okay.
I'm so
The Mario
confused.
movie was so bad that they arrested Luigi Mario.
Why?
And so that's what the rally's for.
No. Oh, okay. Well, Shadow, he's not arrested for tax evasion.
No, that's Yoshi.
Can you tell me what actually happened in the year of Luigi? Do you remember? I want to cross compare.
Mario U got the Luigi DLC.
Oh yeah,
There was Mario Dream Team, I think.
Correct.
Mario and Luigi Dream
yeah.
Team.
That did come out. That was the one I knew about most of all.
And I think that was also Luigi's Mansion 2 for 3DS.
Correct, which was coincidentally in this other year of Luigi re-released.
Oh shit.
That's true.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then compare that to what we got this year with Shadow. How do you think they fare? Who got the better showing?
Well, one made the company money and the other didn't, to be fair.
Which is which, Ryan?
I'll leave that for the post-credit scene. How about that?
Yeah.
Cool. So, Ryan, you're going to have to make sure to record a post-credit scene so I can edit it into this video. Yeah, but we had several Shadow the Hedgehog related things this year. There was, of course, the animated trio of shorts, The Dark Beginnings. There was Sonado Generations for multiple consoles. And then there was the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
And Shadow
And-
got added into Sonic Dream Team.
That also happened, I
But
guess.
I wouldn't know.
Oh,
'cause I
yeah.
I
haven't played
forgot
it.
about
That game exists, and it's still languishing on Apple products, which I do not own.
Same.
that.
So we will not be talking about how Shadow plays in Dream Team, though I've heard from Aster that the game sucks. So
Wow.
we're not missing much.
That's rude.
Regardless, so let's, where do you guys want to start? Do we want to talk about the movie and then the game, plus the shorts, or...
Let's talk about the Moopy.
Okay.
The movie.
The movie is a hyper-exaggeration of that. Well,
Yeah.
in preparation for this podcast, I rewatched the first two films and went to the theater with my brother yesterday and saw the movie. And I also got a commemorative popcorn tin, and they had like
Is that the one where you eat his brain?
No, that was a different. That's like a Shadow's head, and you like
That one
open
freaks me out.
I got my sister the popcorn bucket where you eat Sonic's brain.
up.
I'm sure she loved it.
She was pretty happy to get it.
And then it also came with a pair of cups with, you know, those hologram things where like it's like a flat thing, and you'd like move the angle in your eyes, and it makes two different images appear.
Yeah.
It's got like that wrapped around it. And then you get a little Happy Meal toy that you stick on top of the cup. Yeah, so I was excited to see Sonic Adventure 2, the movie. You better believe it. And it's really weird seeing kids in the theater watching this movie and realizing that the game came out 23 years ago.
Yeah. I also
Wouldn't
had
be-
that experience.
Yeah.
Did you guys have like a packed theater, or was it like quiet?
Not really. I mean, there were people there, but not that many people.
I mean, I saw it a while after it came out, so it wasn't as busy.
Now, I saw this the day of, and this movie shared a release date with everyone's favorite film of 2024, Mufasa.
Yeah,
Mhm.
So, me, my partner, and a mutual friend of ours, we went to Disney Springs to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 3. And we walked past like 5 different theaters that were playing Mufasa, and Sonic 3 was playing like all the way in the back in this dingy ass like rundown theater. And sure enough, it's like you walk past all those auditoriums and they were radio silent, but the moment you stepped into the fucking Sonic theater, it was loud. That theater was packed when I saw it.
I wish I had a packed theater really bad, but it is what it is.
It was damn near religious. I'm not gonna lie.
You all bow before the altar of live and learn and sing the third verse together from your hymnals.
Yes.
Yeah, so before we get to Sonic Movie 3, I wanted to quickly discuss the first two films.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if we ever did that on the show.
Well, we did.
Maybe briefly.
We did the first movie when that came out. And the first episode of the Unversed cast that we ever did, eons ago, was actually about the fucking announcement of this movie back in 2016. Really? Yeah.
Unfortunately, people cannot watch that episode anymore.
Because I died.
For reasons that I'm not legally allowed to recount on this podcast. But yeah, it is interesting to think that it's had that much history with us. Because I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. Yeah, but what were your impressions of the first one? Because most Sonic fans seem to be kind of in agreement that it was...
It's been a few years, but I think I've only seen it twice in my life. It's very okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's an easy watch.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it kind of has that... I'm trying to remember, I feel like there was another movie that was kind of similar, where it was like, we don't know if this is going to be successful yet, so we're going to give you a limited budget, and you're not allowed to put too much Sonic stuff in the Sonic movie. You can have one CGI character who we're going to make the worst design ever for.
SFPD! Meow?
And then after the trailer comes out, we're going to overwork our animators, changing it to the design we should have just been smart enough to use in the first place.
Which, by the way, try and imagine a universe in which that original design made it through.
I know, I was going to say that.
We wouldn't have gotten these movies.
Could you imagine that heart-to-heart between Sonic and on the moon with the ugly Sonic art style?
Well, no, I can't imagine, because if we got the ugly Sonic in Sonic 1, we wouldn't have Sonic 2. People would have hated this fucking movie, you know?
And I do think that I do like the redesign Sonic a lot. Like, I think it finds a good balance of having, like, you know, kind of the realistic looking hair and fur, but still having, like, him look cartoony and appealing.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
How do you like Ben Schwartz?
Me, personally?
Yeah.
Rewatching these three films, I thought, like, he just disappears into that role. I don't really think about him as being a CGI character or a voice actor giving life to that character. I just see Sonic, so that's high praise.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
He's a nice voice for him.
I think he manages to sound young, sufficiently teenage-like. It's not like Roger Craig Smith can sometimes sound like a 50-year-old man trying to act like a 16-year-old, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, he can act as well. I thought the acting generally in the first movie was good. Like, the consensus seems to be the first one was like, it was okay, you know, but, you know, since it was successful, maybe we'll get some Sonic stuff in the next one. And then we got a lot of Sonic stuff in the second and third one. So the first one is just kind of like the one that had to be successful to get the good stuff later on.
As the kids say, it walked so the others can run.
Exactly.
Kids say that, right?
Upon rewatch, I found myself appreciating it quite a bit. We're going to talk about the third one, obviously, in a moment, but I think Jim Carrey's best performance was in the first one, personally.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that.
I can't remember the first movie well enough to know what he was doing in that. I gotta be honest. It's been too long.
In the first movie, he's got a certain intensity to him. Like, he's comedic and he does wacky things sometimes. But there's a certain intensity. Like, there's a part where he grabs Stone by the jaw and just pulls him towards him. And he'll get up right in people's faces and just, like, eyeball them, you know?
Yeah.
And by the time you get to the third movie, he's just like a bumbling idiot doing a wacky character voice, and he feels like a completely different character.
Yeah, I mean, because, like, even in movie 2, I felt he was like that. He's just, like, maybe overly cartoonish, and people say, like, oh, but he was stuck on the fucking mushroom planet, so of course he went insane, but it's like,
Right.
I don't know. It just kind of felt like Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey, and Jim Carrey's entertaining.
Yeah.
but I was never like, I don't know, like, yeah, he was definitely more intimidating in the first movie. In the second and third one, he's just kind of goofy.
You know, I won't miss you when you're gone. Human beings are unreliable and stupid, and I care very little about them. But my machines are diligent, relentless. They're everything to me.
You see, Earth is my turf, G. If you don't know how to floss, you'll be lost without me.
We met him at the first movie, and he was unhinged, manic, he was hilarious, but he had some grasp of reality. Where we meet him in this movie, he will have spent 6 months on an abandoned planet with only mushrooms, and if he was crazy in the first movie, he's absolutely insane in this one, which fits Jim Carrey's style of acting perfectly.
Like, you know, you have like you have, not to spoil it, do we talk about spoilers and shit?
We'll talk about spoilers for Sonic 3 when we get to Sonic 3, so I can arrange the chapters below accordingly.
Cool.
But you can maybe give a spoiler-free version right now just to share your observation.
All right, so they're like doing the final battle, and then like it's hard. It's like some cool Dragon Ball Z shit, and then it just hard cuts to Jim Carrey getting like spanked. It's like
Jesus. It sounds like you and I will be
probably the lowest point of that movie for me.
Yeah.
That was a very strange decision.
Yes. I also really like, maybe this is a hot take because everybody seems to hate the human characters in these movies.
I like them.
I don't hate them.
Yeah.
I hate sometimes how they are used in Sonic 2, cough, cough. But
yes, we'll talk about that in a moment.
I don't hate them as characters.
I really like Tom, actually. Like, I think the first movie does a great job setting him up as just, like local sheriff guy who's kind of friendly with everybody, very responsible. I mean, like, he's in an interracial relationship, and they don't draw too much attention to that. It's just there, which is cool.
Kind of feels like a rendition of Sonic X without a whiny child, and instead somebody who's not insufferable.
They have really good chemistry, too.
Yes. And I thought he had really good chemistry with Robotnik in the first one, too, where, like, that... One of my favorite scenes in the first movie is the phone call scene where Robotnik's going on about, one time I was bullied at the orphanage, and I got back at him so bad using my technology that, he couldn't walk for a year or something like that. And he gives this really intense monologue, and all in response to Tom punching him in the face once.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I like the chemistry between those two characters as well. And then by the third one, it seemed like maybe in response to the criticism of Sonic 2, they seemed to be trying to minimize their role as much as possible. They were still in more of it than I was expecting after that opening. And then we got the second film, which I'm guessing we all enjoyed because it's got a whole bunch of Sonic stuff in it. Yeah, way more than the first movie.
I enjoyed all three of them to varying degrees. So yeah, I liked it.
I do find it interesting that both the first two films have a shootout and a nice-looking house and a contrived bar scene that exists to bond two of the male leads.
Do you know what all three of them don't have that I was very upset about?
Well, let's hear it.
One of these movies lacked an Olive Garden cameo.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna, you know what? It's kind of sacrilegious. I don't know about that one.
I think it's really funny that you brought that up because did you know this video is actually sponsored
by Olive
Garden?
Oh my god.
This video not actually sponsored by Olive Garden. Those pasta bowls are truly unlimited. I've had the unlimited pasta bowl before, and usually what it's like is they give you like a moderate-sized bowl of maybe like 25 pieces of pasta. Then you finish it, and they're like, do you want some more? And I'm like, sure, yeah. And then like 10 minutes later, they come back with another bowl about the same size. So it's like they have like a large pot somewhere in the kitchen, and then they just, like take a scoop or two and put it in the bowl. And then you do get to take some home with you afterwards.
Oh, yeah, the
like
unlimited soup, salad, breadsticks, when it is all we get when we go to Olive Garden. It's like actually insane, because you'll ask for more, and they'll be like, sure, and you just keep asking until you're done, and then you can take some home. That's only like $15 per person or something. I don't know.
They actually have really good meatballs.
I haven't had their meatballs.
Yeah, as far as like Italian McDonald's go, it's not bad.
I would say Italian Panera bread. Is that accurate?
That's more accurate than Italian McDonald's, probably. There's a little bit more crossover with Panera bread.
Sure.
Still doesn't make any sense to me, but...
I've been to Italian McDonald's. It's called Fazoli's, and it's in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is literally like a drive-through, but, you know, they have like pots of pasta in the back, and they'll just give you some.
That's wild.
So.
You know what was cool about Sonic 2? Still my favorite decision, my favorite casting decision of all time is that they made the Olive Garden guy the gun commander.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Sir, your transport is ready. It's dinner time. Sir, please.
Not again. All chain restaurants are equally mid.
Sir, that's not true. There's still Olive Garden. Have you tried their never-ending pasta bowl? It never ends. Yes, and you know what? I always called him Olive Garden guy. I didn't realize until I rewatched the second one today that they literally call him that in the movie.
It's like, yeah.
Like, he just shows up at the wedding, and then Tom's like, Olive Garden guy?
Yeah.
How about his acting in the third one, huh? What a masterclass. It was like...
It's funny. I almost feel like they were writing the movie and they're like, we cannot have this dude do an Olive Garden scene because it's just not like the way they had to write the movie. It probably just would not have flown very well. It's not going to fit in contrast with the scene where such and such becomes unalived. Yeah.
Where the character is present. So we've got to take this seriously. No Olive Gardens. We can have a Chow
Garden,
but no Olive Garden.
I'm still upset about it. I don't care how much sense it makes. I wanted my third Olive Garden cameo.
You know, instead of having the dinner at the Chow Garden, they could have had it at an Olive Garden in Japan.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Maybe the Olive Garden check bounced at this time. Yeah, we don't know.
That's just, we should all...
After Sonic 2, they're like, we're done with this shit. I don't know.
You know, when we go to Michigan next year, we should all go to Olive Garden.
We will.
I would like that. You should have your bachelor party at Olive
Tell
Garden.
him Chairman Walters sent us.
Put it in blood.
Yeah. It's like they have a funeral scene at the end for Chairman Walters where they pour Olive Garden on his grave.
He's marinating in his own ragu.
It's like one of those crappy paper cups, and it's got like the Olive Garden logo on it, and they put like some sake in it and just dump it. It'll be like that scene when they visit Ace's grave in One Piece. Spoilers.
Dude, Ace was my favorite character, says the script. I haven't seen One Piece.
But yeah, the second one's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's great to actually have Sonic characters in it and not... Because the first one was almost seemingly embarrassed of the fact they were making a Sonic movie, but the second one, like, you've got a bunch of little nods, like the tornado shows up. When they're in the underground maze looking for the Master Emerald, there's a part where Sonic goes down a waterfall just like in Labyrinth Zone.
Well, yeah, that place is supposed to be Labyrinth Zone.
Yeah, that was my interpretation, or maybe Lost World, because there's some of that in there. Mm-hmm. The Sonic Adventure Lost World, I mean. You know, and it's just a fun action-adventure movie, though everybody seems to hate the middle of the film. We all know the sequence we're talking about, the Bridezilla sequence.
You know what's funny? Is that, like, I've seen this movie a few times, and when I saw it in theaters, the Bridezilla stuff got, like, a really good reaction out of the audience. And I watched this with my partner, who doesn't know what a Sonic is. And
what the fuck is a Sonic?
There, I did the joke. Now let's move on.
She was dying at the Bridezilla stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And admittedly, like, there is some stuff in it that's funny. It's like, is it, like, it clashes, sure, but, like, it works in its own way? I mean, like, maybe it doesn't work.
My big thing with it is that I just think it's a bit too long and a bit, like, random. Like, I don't know, it doesn't...
It does, yeah.
If it fit a little better, I wouldn't mind spending so much time with them, I guess is the best way to put it. But it just kind of feels like a weird distraction from the rest of the movie until it links up back with the main plot, I guess.
It does feel like whoever the writer of these films is, I think it's the same guy, Ian something. It's not Ian Flynn, it's like, I don't know. It does feel like he got like halfway through writing the script and is like, oh wait, I haven't had the human characters do anything in this film. We'll have a wedding sequence and then Maddie and Rachel will team up to do something with Gunn. And then we can bring the Olive Garden guy back. That'll be funny, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that it was funny when the Olive Garden guy showed up, and there are things about those scenes that are funny. It's not like completely useless. It's just kind of the low point of the movie, probably for me.
Mm-hmm.
It does drag.
I would say personally, my low point of the film would be the Russian dancing scene.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Honest to God, I forgot that existed until you just said it.
where they dance to Uptown Funk with a bunch
that is
of
a strange scene as well. I do appreciate at least that it's probably the only scene in the movie where Sonic and Tails bond even a little bit.
Yes, that's why it's in the movie.
That's why I liked it, but not necessarily the dancing part. I liked the end where they sleep in the cabin.
Yeah.
I thought it was cute.
And they bond over being weird people.
They bond over being freaks.
Exactly.
Because I guess my biggest... Tails doesn't really have a big role in these movies, which is kind of unfortunate, because I think he just got shafted by Knuckles and Shadow needing to be the big bads of their movies.
Yeah.
And so Tails doesn't really get a lot of moments, and so I appreciate that moment because of that. Because especially in like Sonic 3, he's not really doing much.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's just kind of tech guy, which is... Yeah. I mean, at least he's not cowering behind Chaos Zero this time.
Yeah.
That is appreciated.
And it's weird that he's the only one who doesn't get a celebrity voice actor. Maybe...
I think the story was because for the post-credit scene of 1, when Tails appeared, they already put her in the voice role. And for some reason, they couldn't, like, go back on that. So they're just like, yeah, we're just going to keep that going. Which, as you'll notice, is probably why, I'm not going to spoil what happens in it, but is probably why the character that shows up at the end of Sonic 3 does not say anything. So that they have full range to cast whoever they want, and they don't repeat this quote-unquote mistake, even though I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's pretty cool that she gets to be in a movie.
Yeah, I mean, she's always been a good Tails.
Yeah.
She hasn't necessarily always had the best material to work from, but she's better than the Bringus boys.
I mean, these movies show that she... Even in the games I'm not fond of the writing for, I've always liked Tails' voice acting, honestly.
Eggman's robots are taking control of everything.
Never bothered me. Always felt pretty fitting.
The following contains spoilers for Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Viewer discretion is advised.
So that was Sonic 2, and it does feel like Jim Carrey is maybe like 90% of the way to his performance in the third one.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess moving on to the third one, it seemed like he was almost trying to throw the movie. Because I know he said he wants to retire, or is in preparation of retiring, and it was kind of up in the air whether he was going to be in this one. And it almost feels like, I cannot verify this, it almost feels like he was trying to be as bad as possible so that people wouldn't want him to come back again. Almost. I don't know if that's just me, but it felt like, I guess that's my hot take, is I thought he was bordering on embarrassing in this one. Like skirting up right up there. I didn't think he was
that bad, but I can see where you're coming from. There were definitely some jokes that did not land.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it happened in more frequency with 3, I would also agree. But I kind of had similar feelings towards the previous 2 films, even if they weren't. I think the thing about the third film is that the jokes come back to back to back because there's 2 of them.
There's 2 Eggmen now?
Double your villains, double your fun.
And they're both basically the same character, except one of them is more vicious than the other one.
Yes.
And it makes it a little bit more unbearable than the first 2 films.
Well,
and there's probably a few more of those moments for me anyway.
It's also more jarring because the things that happen in this movie are like more intense than the other movies have ever had.
Yeah.
And then it just hard cuts to 2 Jim Carreys doing a silly little dance, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like
they're literally...
this doesn't really fit.
They're literally in the process of collecting keys to a weapon of mass destruction, and they're disco dancing in a laser room.
Yeah.
There is some tonal whiplash there, definitely.
You got Tom and Maddie on the, about to get crushed by a bunch of rubble, and Eggman's doing the worm.
They're trying to grab the key with his mouth.
Yeah. And it's like,
it's a struggle for me because there are moments like that I don't like. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when they did the laser sequence, I cracked a smile, because I thought it was stupid as shit. So I don't know, I appreciate it sometimes.
I've always felt like I have a relatively high cringe tolerance compared to some people. People have always hated, like, I don't know, Sonic Colors, for example, and I've always thought that was, barring a line or two, fine. But then I watched the Mario movie, and it was like, oh my god, I cannot believe I'm watching this in public with a bunch of strangers. It felt like I was going to shrivel up and die, and the only way to cope with it was to laugh of discomfort more than anything.
Will you marry me?
Oh, yes!
And Jim Carrey doesn't quite get that bad in this film. I was mostly laughing with him.
Yeah.
But it was getting close to cringe territory.
Yeah, he was pushing it a little bit, definitely.
But it's like, you know, it's like we criticize, like, oh, he's being a little too goofy, and it's like, oh, but it's a kid's movie, blah, blah, blah. But, like, you can have movies that are aimed towards kids and also respect them enough to, like, not crack jokes every 5 seconds. It's like, you can, if there's, like, a serious thing that's happening in your movie, you can let it cook for a little bit, and kids will be okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and to be fair, I think they did that pretty well in this movie, even with all that shit.
Right.
The only time I really felt it was incredibly jarring was the spanking thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because they let the Shadow of Maria stuff cook for as long as it needed to, and they had cool thematic parallels with Sonic and Tom that I actually think that incorporating Tom in that way was a pretty, like, I mean, you could kind of see it coming probably if you were thinking about how the movie was going to be constructed, but it made sense to do it, and it worked for me. I liked the conflict that set up for the two of them.
And the scene of him and Shadow reconciling isn't the right word, but coming to an understanding on the moon. They play that totally straight, and it just works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a dramatic moment, as a character building moment. You know, if Pontac and Graff had written that scene, for example, they'd be cracking jokes the entire time. And all three movies, I think, have good character building moments where they just let the characters be the characters, and they don't feel ashamed of the fact that they're talking animals. They let them be. I mean, it's not like these are the most fleshed out, complex, as far as writing go, movies in the world, but as far as like action, adventure, family film, it's effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, actually, another scene that I really appreciated in 3, I haven't heard too many people talk about, is when, because Knuckles is, like, his character is basically that he's kind of dense, which I guess is game accurate to a certain extent. I feel that they go a tiny bit overboard sometimes.
Are you Detective Pikachu?
He does look like a Pokemon. Pika Pika!
But I also thought it was really cool that when shit hits the fan and he's like arguing with Sonic, he stops being dumb. Like he has like a serious argument with him, like he's a real character. I don't know, I appreciated that a lot.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know how you guys felt, but when it was announced that Idris Elba was going to be playing Knuckles, I thought that was kind of an odd choice. But much like with Robotnik, I do think they consistently find good ways to do a unique interpretation of these characters that fits with this movie universe. Where basically Knuckles is kind of like Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy, where he's kind of self-serious and a warrior. And it's not necessarily that he's dumb, it's just that he's not familiar with Earth slang and terms and stuff.
Yeah, he's dense, is how I like to describe it.
Maybe naive.
Yeah, that too.
And I think Idris does that really well. And like I said, these voice actors like disappear into these CGI character roles.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking, oh, that's Idris Elba. I'm just thinking, oh, that's Knuckles.
They were having such an effective argument, I actually thought they were about to fight right on the spot, so that was pretty cool.
You know, and I can appreciate the fact that they didn't sweep Tails or Knuckles under the rug in the third movie. Because I guess, like, with the second movie, watching that for the first time, it kind of reminded me that, like, when I was younger, Knuckles used to be my favorite Sonic character. And it kind of brought me back to that place. I'm like, oh yeah, no, this character used to be really cool.
Yeah.
But like one of the concerns I had, especially after hearing everything about that Knuckles show on Paramount, was that they were going to dumb him down like really bad. Yeah. And like he has like his goofy moments. Like I appreciated the fact that they called back to the fact that he's afraid of ghosts from Sonic Adventure 2.
Yes, I noticed that.
That was I liked that. But like it never got too much, you know, and I felt like as if he had like a lot to do, or you know, he had enough to do.
Yeah, I don't feel like they ever flanderized him, because that was a concern I had as well after seeing the Knuckles show.
I only eat grapes and Cool Ranch Doritos.
But he like I said, that argument scene with Sonic shows that he's still a character. Like they're not like playing it too much, you know.
Yeah,
there's a good balance there. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I really like how the characters in these movies genuinely feel like the characters from the games. which is a weird thing to say, but like it's so easy to get wrong.
Yeah, it's like in some ways they feel like a slightly different flavor.
Yeah.
But the spirit of what they were always trying to be is there, and you can feel it.
It's like I know people who are like upset over the fact that like, oh, why are the Chaos Emeralds inside of the Master Emerald? But it's like it's an adaptation.
Oh my God.
I mean, honest to God,
fine.
they may as well do shit like that because I think that just makes more sense to have those things inside the Master Emerald anyway. So you know.
Yeah, like
it's like whatever.
It works for the movie. It works with what the movie was setting out to do. Like, there's no fucking owl people, Guardians of Ga'Hoole shit in any of the games. This movie can have its own stuff. You know, it's fine. Not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, if people want to get in the weeds about it, the fact that Sonic has an arc where like he gets a literal dad is nothing like the games.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just kind of works for the arc they're trying to tell for a kids movie. And because of that, Sonic's a little bit more brash than I think he usually is, but that also works. And the fact that he gets really angry in this movie was kind of cool.
Yeah. Oh my God, he's showing real emotions and he's acting like a character would react. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's wild.
So you're saying that if Ben Schwartz were to be locked up in solitary confinement for 6 months, just as an example, and come out of that, he would actually act like that would have been a traumatic experience?
Yeah, he wouldn't walk out going, that was the worst. I get that joke now because I watched all of Parks and Recreation.
Oh.
I get it.
Oh yeah, he was on that show, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's where it came from.
I didn't realize that. I just watched that scene earlier today and I didn't realize that was a reference. I just thought he was doing a thing.
No.
But I do think we're talking about the fact that the movie universe is distinct and takes a lot of creative liberties from the source material. And I think that's a lot of why these movies work as movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that it doesn't feel like it needs to be slavishly faithful to the mythos of the games and can change things to suit the story. Like the fact that a 50-year-old space colony wouldn't make sense in this universe that is so close to our own. So they changed that to like it's on Earth, it's like an underground bunker, and then the Eclipse canon is like a satellite. And that works for the story. And I think, not to pick on the Mario movie again, one thing I hate, like one of my pet peeves with video game adaptations, is when they feel like they have to incorporate video game mechanics into story devices when it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, Sonic X has the thing where he needs a ring to spin dash. Like, that's an example of that kind of trope. And then the power-ups in the Mario movie are similar. Well, we have to put fire flowers in it because it's Mario. And we have to have Mario jumping through a crazy obstacle course because that's what the games are, but it just feels so hackneyed and forced in a linear narrative story, in my opinion, which is why I appreciate how these movies try to work as movies first. And, you know, like they just make like stuff like the Master Emerald a MacGuffin, so it just works in the context as a story beat, you know, instead of trying to be like, oh, Sonic needs to collect 50 rings to use the Master Emerald. They don't do stupid shit like that, and I appreciate that.
You know, I think it's also kind of cool that, I mean, the Sonic movies kind of do that, where it's like they use game mechanics in the actual movie with the rings, because, you know, in the Sonic games, you jump inside of a big ring, you go to a portal, and you go into like a weird, wacky
and
world.
I think that's a tasteful implementation of a thing like that, because those rings make sense because they're like aliens that come from different planets. That's another thing that doesn't make any sense in Sonic canon, but I never hear anybody talk about that. And it just kind of shows like it doesn't really matter. They're all fucking aliens, you know? I mean,
yes.
It makes it so that if they were to ever do anything with Black Doom, which I don't know if they ever would, but maybe they would, I don't know.
Apparently
it would make
the
it less
director of the
jarring.
movies is a big Shadow the Hedgehog fan.
Oh,
like the
what would
game.
give you that idea?
Well, he was involved with Shadow the Hedgehog, wasn't he? Like, wasn't he in charge of like
did,
the VFX?
An FMV direction or something, if I recall correctly. Like, I don't remember. It was a relatively obscure role that he did for that game, but I think he was involved with it. Yeah.
And now look at him. Now look at him.
So basically what I'm saying is that if we ever see the Black Arms, I would not be surprised.
Yeah. You know, they kind of alluded to it with him being from like a
meteorite.
He was like, you came from a meteorite, and ooh.
Well, that is actually something I appreciate about the movies now, is that since they're all aliens, the fact that Shadow's an alien, like, I mean, or at least derived from alien DNA, kind of makes more sense.
Yeah. It did kind of shock me a little bit. It was just like, oh, he was a meteor and we found him. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right, yeah, no, I guess that works. That's fine.
Well, speaking of Shadow the Hedgehog, and this is the year of Shadow after all, what did we think of Shadow the Hedgehog in this feature film?
Keanu?
Yeah.
Yes, Keanu! You are a national treasure.
I think they nailed it, honest to God. Everything worked for me. Literally everything they did with him.
Who does your highlights?
The more you talk, the harder I want to hit you.
I was a little worried because I'm kind of 50-50 with Keanu Reeves, like as an actor, not just in this movie, but just in general. Because like on the one hand, you have John Wick, right?
Right.
And he's great in that. On the other hand, you have Dracula, where he's seen where the bastard sleeps.
I was gonna bring that up.
A raging blue inferno.
And he's trying to do a British accent, and it's like the worst thing you've ever heard. Yeah.
And then also, I didn't think he was that great in Cyberpunk 2077 either. So it's like you hear he's doing like a voice role. And it's like, okay, well, is this going to be any good? And I think it's mostly good.
Yeah.
I thought it worked. I didn't hate it.
Well, I personally was worried coming in as well because of that kind of stuff too. And I think there was a lot of discussion like, oh, Adam Driver, Christian Haydenson would have also been good picks.
Robert
Did you
Pattinson
say
would have
Christian
been good.
Haydenson?
What's his name?
Hayden Christensen?
That's it. Sorry. I didn't realize that until you pointed it out.
That's like the Bizarro version of Hayden Christensen.
Yeah. He specifically seemed to be like a fan favorite pick on Twitter. And I was more concerned because of the DLC, the Tokyo Stage DLC for the game.
Oh, yeah.
And I played that, and I was just like, oh my god, Keanu was just awful in this.
I still have not played that, actually.
It's all right.
I don't know if you guys have ever played Spider-Man 2 for the GameCube.
Oh, yeah.
Have I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like you watch the movie Spider-Man 2. Tobey Maguire is pretty good in those movies. But then you play the game, and it sounds like he is phoning it in completely for Spider-Man 2.
Oh, no. I'm late for Mary Jane's play. I better hurry up.
And I don't know if it's a thing.
I have to imagine that the situation with this DLC is that while they were making the movie, they were probably like, hey, Keanu, can you do this real quick? And he's like, okay.
Yeah, they probably
That's
had
probably
enough budget for
exactly
like one
what
take.
happened.
Yeah.
Because of that, because like when he says chaos control, it's like he doesn't even know what those words mean. Like
yeah, well,
even
because it doesn't really happen in the movie.
No, but supposedly Alonso told me that Keanu specifically sought out the production because he wanted to play Shadow. So if that is true, he should know what a chaos control is.
I mean, maybe he does. He just, they were like, did a line and he was done.
Yeah, like I say, they probably had enough budget for like maybe one take.
Because like I could imagine him trying to like mimic the way that the various voice actors have said it before.
Chaos control!
And just not nailing it, but they don't really give a fuck because it's some, like $2 DLC or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To a game that already isn't even its own game in terms of release.
And they gave it, clearly they have never been on AO3 before when they chose that title, because I think they might have chosen a different title if they had. Like, everybody go on to AO3.
I think they knew what they were doing. That's my hot take.
They knew they were using a yaoi title?
Yeah, I think they knew what they were doing.
Right.
I think that they chose the title. Somebody at Sega of America specifically probably informed them about the connotations of that, and they were just like, oh, that'll generate more buzz, sure.
We can get the yaoi
I guarantee
audience
that
on
was a
that.
converstion at some point.
They tried explaining it to Sega Japan. Sega Japan was like, oh, I know what I did. I can read English. I know what I'm doing.
One of my ex-boyfriend went to Japan, and he said that he went to like a manga shop, and apparently they will just straight up sell yaoi out in the open in Japan.
Oh yeah, they will. When I was in Japan, I went into a shop that had manga and cool looking figurines and stuff.
Yeah.
If you go upstairs, there's some stuff up there, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah,
it is a figurine shop. Yep.
Oh.
Did you buy me one?
No.
Oh.
It's like
no, but it's pretty normal. I mean, I guess it's not like society-wide normal. It's a lot more normal than it is here.
It's not morally normal, but it is something you can do.
Yeah, it's a lot more common than it is over here, probably, to just walk into a store and have that be around.
Mm-hmm. You can get what's-his-face from Berserk, and his clothes are detachable.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get the boat set that comes with the guy from Berserk and stick him on top of it, he'll stay stuck on that boat for 10 years or whatever it was.
I mean, back to the topic at hand. I loved Shadow.
Yeah,
I don't know. Pretty much everything they were doing here worked wonderfully for me. I was just smiling whenever he was on screen.
You know, I got a take. And I don't know if this is a hot take or a cold take, but the moment when Maria finds Shadow in the tube, and the moment she makes that pouty face at Shadow, that moment did more for Maria than the games ever did in the 20 years that she's been around.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Maria, honestly, has never been much of a character for me.
Yeah.
She's just kind of the girl who died.
I was glad that they actually did a lot with her.
Yeah.
So.
Thought it was nice.
It made her death pretty effective, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I wasn't bawling my eyes out like how people did during the Wild Robot, but you know, I felt a little bit of the feelies. I'm like,
I did too.
Because you actually grow attached to her because she's an actual character.
You know when I was bawling my eyes out during this film?
When Sonic turned into a ball?
No, when an Olive Garden guy gets shot and dies unceremoniously.
I thought it was really okay. I think a lot of the deaths in this movie are really silly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's one in particular that I actually laughed at audibly.
Like, Olive Garden dies because he gets a table thrown at him or like an explosion or whatever, but I don't think he's dead.
No.
I don't think he's dead. I think they're going to keep him around for that Shadow exclusive series that they're going to be doing.
Oh, they're doing that? I hadn't heard of this.
Yeah, there's like rumors and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure it's all but confirmed at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Because like the gun guy just died unceremoniously and out of nowhere, right?
Yes.
You want to know something? I'm sorry to interrupt. You just reminded me. During his death scene, you know when they're pulling out the card from his thing?
Yes.
I swear to God, I looked over and I was like, it's going to be an Olive Garden gift card. Like, I thought they were going to do it.
That would have been great.
But it was just the key card.
Someone needs to do a YouTube poop and like edit that in. That would be amazing.
But they introduced a lady who works for Gunn.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And she's
Jones.
like, I should have never trusted you alien freaks.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
and she doesn't really have a lot to do.
I think she disappears at some point.
Yeah, she basically...
It's like after the Ark goes into space, she's just nowhere to be seen. So I think they would do a thing. And also, like, the way how Agent Stone's story just kind of, like, ends with a fade out. I kind of feel like those three characters are going to be like involved in this Shadow series that they're planning.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to replace Robotnik's place making robots and stuff with Agent Stone.
I like Agent Stone.
Because I think he's likable enough to carry being a villain from now on. Like, he won't really be Eggman, but if they're not going to have Eggman, they got to do something.
Well,
maybe I don't really know how else to say this, but I think the guy who plays Agent Stone is one of the most handsome men on the planet.
You know, honestly,
he is fitted the fuck out in every single one of these movies.
Yeah.
What does that even mean?
He has with Eggman.
I've never heard that expression before.
What, fitted the fuck out?
Yeah.
He's dressed sharper than a fucking razor blade, dude.
Okay, that I understand.
He's riding around on a motorcycle. I'm like, damn, okay. Go off, King. Shit.
Yeah, I actually think there was a point during the movie where I think the middle of the movie when they're in the giant enemy crab.
Oh, yes.
Which is the death crab from Forces.
Yeah. By the way, another line from the movie that actually did get an audible laugh out of me is when Shadow said she should just kill him or whatever when they were watching the soap opera.
Yeah.
That was funny. But during that scene, they were setting up like, it seemed like Agent Stone like kind of cared about Shadow a little bit, and I was like, I wonder if they're gonna bond, and
Yeah,
they kind of
they were-
didn't. And
they were
maybe
making
maybe
revenge
they're gonna
guac.
do that in the TV series a little bit. Shadow's linked to gun, or not necessarily linked to gun, but like linked to humanity will be like Agent Stone or something. I don't know. I think that'd
Yeah.
be cool.
You know, there's a moment that I guess I don't know, like maybe appreciated. I don't know. It hit me in the heart a little bit where Maria and Shadow were watching a movie, and it was like, oh, Revenge
Oh.
of the Alien Freak,
Yeah.
and Shadow watches that. He's like, ah.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I felt that.
That was a good moment.
Did you notice what the monster was in the movie they were watching?
Was it the Biomoose?
It was the Biomoose. I didn't notice either.
Wait,
but
was it
Eric-
really?
Yeah. It has like tubes
What?
going up to its face too, so that was like their little Biomoose cameo.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
By the way, everybody, feel free to download the Biomoose name mod for Sonic Time Shadow Generations, which replaces all text for the Biomoose with Biomoose, so that you can enjoy.
Well, that's redundant.
There were a lot of references in Sonic 3, and I've grown to like critical mass with references. I think I'm just deadlocked by them. But I'm not gonna lie, the things that happened in this movie, I clapped.
Was it when they all jumped out of the helicopter?
You know what? That was really stupid, but yeah, I did clap.
You know, there were many moments when the audience was like losing their goddamn mind, and my partner would just like lean into me and just be like, "Hey, so like, is that from the games or what? Like, what is that? Why are people cheering?"
Well, I
And I'm
have
like,
to
"Yes,
say
honey."
that like them both going super by clasping each other's hands is maybe the rawest thing I've seen with Live and Learn playing. I was like,
Oh, yeah.
okay, yeah, you've successfully brought my childhood to the big screen. Good job. You've done it. I gave my thumbs up there.
The friend I was watching this with almost shat his pants immediately in the beginning when Maria was playing Live and Learn on the acoustic guitar.
Yeah, I noticed that
Like
too.
immediately, I'm like, "Oh fuck!"
That was like some Last of Us 2 shit right there.
Yeah.
Except Maria didn't blow out Shadow the Hedgehog's kneecaps with a shotgun and beat him to death with a golf club.
That would have been awesome. They should have done that.
Maybe that's how Maria should have died. That would have been hardcore.
Yeah.
Also, when when Sonic punched Shadow the fuck out.
That was awesome too, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen people say that this feels like a Dragon Ball Z film, and I kind of agree with them because especially near the end of the movie, it's just they beat the fuck out of people.
That's
Oh, yeah.
basically what the Super Sonic Super Shadow fight was basically that. It looked like Namek blowing up. So
I mean, like, this was the first time we've seen like Super Shadow in anything meaningful in like
Since Shadow the
almost
Hedgehog?
20 years? Since 2006?
Yeah, I think the last time he ever did it was 06.
Okay.
If you don't want to count like the fucking kart racing games or whatever, then yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he even goes super in those games, does he?
I have no idea. Couldn't tell you.
Oh, maybe it happens in Sonic Free Riders. After struggling
Yeah,
to
maybe.
control the game, he achieves inner peace and goes super.
He did go super in IDW, and he probably did it in the Archie comics, but I haven't read those.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Sega told Ian Flynn he couldn't put Black Doom and Mephiles in it, so he had to make his own XPs instead for Archie?
You know, that's really weird, because there was an interview for Sonic X Shadow Generations where Izuka straight up said that he thinks Black Doom is like Shadow's Eggman.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that he feels that way, given that part of Shadow dropped off the face of the earth for 20 years or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
We could talk more about that when we get to the video game. But
There's a video game?
There is a video game. I don't know if you played it, but
is there a movie game?
What's a video game?
Well, there's a DLC stage based on the movie, but it's technically not because it's the prime Sega Sonic Shadow that shows up there and gets transformed into Keanu Reeves somehow.
Wow.
It's like Donald Duck is there to give him a disguise when he goes to the Tokyo World or whatever. And, yeah. But let's talk about the climax and the certain moment that made you laugh, King, because I have a feeling I know what it was.
I don't know, man. A lot of that stuff didn't work with them joking around and stuff with the spanking scene, but I'm not gonna lie. I think it's kind of awesome they bug zapped Gerald Robotnik. Like, I think it's actually kind of hilarious. Because it was kind of a signal like, okay, the moments they wanted to take seriously, for the most part, they were able to take seriously. But at the same time, they're like, we're just gonna have fun with shit like this, and I appreciate that. It's not like they have fun where they want to have fun. They do serious shit where they want to do serious shit. And I just thought it worked pretty well. It made me laugh a lot when he got bug zapped, because I was not expecting that. It was completely out of left field.
I think the joke that got me to laugh the hardest was when Sonic and Shadow turned super, and Sonic was like, oh, gotta go fast! And Shadow was like, you seriously have a catchphrase? And Sonic was like, of course I do. And he looks in the camera and goes, and everyone loves it. I ascended myself. I don't know why, but out of all the jokes in the movie, that one got me the most.
The thing that got me to raffle the most is in the second movie. Rachel's asking, are you an agent or are you Squidward?
Oh my god, the priest with the gun.
Yes, and he just opens up his Bible and there's a gun in it. That was great.
That was good.
That's why I like these movies are funny. I like these movies.
They're silly.
Yeah.
And I think I appreciate that the most. It doesn't mean they can't take themselves seriously, but at the end of the day, they're just... For me, the height of my enjoyment is that they're silly fun. You get some action in there too.
I thought it was a wild thing to say when Gerald essentially compared Robotnik to Maria.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, Gerald was like, yeah, I'm not only am I going to blow up the Earth, I'm also going to kill myself doing it because there's like nothing to live for. And it's like when you have like that, like that's your villain's motivation.
Right.
So you have him say shit like that while also being like a goofy wahoo man. It's tonal whiplash, you know? It's like at that point it's like the stakes are raised. Don't fluff it up. don't mess it up. You got it.
Well, because I was talking about this movie with Nick yesterday, Nick on Planet Ripple, who has been on one previous podcast that you can still watch that has not been removed, when we talked about The Final Horizon.
Yeesh.
Yeah, I was talking to him about this movie, and his take was that Gerald was acting goofy to get on his good side because he needed his help.
Yeah.
And then once he got what he wanted, he basically shows his true colors as being more serious version of the character. But that's still isn't consistent with how goofy that fight scene is, where he turns into a scorpion, and Eggman has like mantis arms, and it's like, I mean, I was laughing, but it wasn't a particularly good fight scene. I can't say that.
Yeah.
But I thought that for the most part, outside of some weird tonal whiplash, I got everything I wanted from the climax of that movie.
Yeah. They do the little pose, the little SA2 pose.
That is the one thing. I hate to be a party pooper. They need to stop doing that. Because I think they've done that like 10 fucking times. I don't know. They probably haven't done it that many times, but like, Jesus Christ, I have seen that enough. We don't need to keep doing it.
What about the Sonic Adventure pose? Sonic does that during the dance scene in the second one.
He does, and I clapped.
I would love the SA2 title screen pose more if they hadn't used it so many times before. I think because Sonic X Shadow has generations in it, and they already did the pose again, that is just like the final straw seeing it in the movie. I was like, okay, I've seen it. This is the most blatant key jingling I've ever seen, and it was a little too much. And I clapped when they played Live and Learn, so my standards are not very high. So,
speaking of poses, in the first Sonic movie, Sonic does his pose that he does in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate when he's running away from Eggman. There's a scene where he dodges a giant missile and he throws his foot in the air. It's just like in Smash Ultimate. It looks really cool. I just thought you should know that. I just wanted to be a part of something.
I think that his farewell when he goes out is it got me.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting them to kill him off. I'll say that much.
Well, they said he was killed off last time. And if Shadow's going to show up for a TV show, if Jim Carrey decides he doesn't want to come back, here's my pet theory that I think is going to happen. They're going to pull an Archie comics and bring an Eggman in from another dimension.
Yeah.
That way they can have it played by a different actor.
I mean, if anything, that would kind of make sense with what they're setting up with the next movie.
I still think Agent Stone should take up the mantle. That's my hard confirmed theory. We're slapping it down right now.
That could be cool.
He
I
might
like him. Give him more stuff to do.
He might become a villain on his own, but I don't know. I mean, I like the character enough, but he's not like the version of Eggman in these movies has like 5 PhDs or something. And is like he's a mad genius, and I'm not sure I see Stone fitting that role. Maybe he could be more like a Dr. Starline and just use the tech.
I mean, he knows how to use it.
I'm pretty sure there's implications that he helped make some of it.
Mm-hmm.
It would not be much of a logical stretch for me to see him making his own robots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that Eggman's Subway sandwich from Sonic Unleashed will show up in the next film?
Maybe.
I guess we'll find out when Sonic 4 comes out.
Somebody had to make the thing that happens in the post-credit scene, so, you know, I don't know who that was, but...
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe those robots came from another planet along with the other character who showed up. We don't know. Or maybe they're going to do...
Sonic's planet.
Sonic's world, as they always call it in the games, because they don't want to confirm it's Earth, even though there's a spirit called Gaia inside of it, so that means it is Earth.
Speaking of, they pissed on the moon. Did you see that? It's crazy. Do you think they'll keep the moon blown up?
If these writers knew what they were doing, yes.
Anything else?
So what did you think about the, unless you have more thoughts about the climax, what did you think about the post-credits scene?
Well, I guess spoilers. Everyone, skip ahead to the next chapter if you don't want spoilers for the post-credit scene. Yeah,
Goku shows up.
Goku shows up. He's like, hey, I heard you're pretty strong.
Everybody's talking about Shadow's triumphant sacrifice, but Goku died too, you know? Like, nobody's talking about that.
It's like, am I excited about a potential Sonic 4? Yeah, sure, why not? I like these movies enough, but honestly, if they capped it off here, I'd say this is a rock-solid trilogy.
I guess we're in spoilers now. It's kind of hard to get excited for Metal Sonic after we just saw a showdown in outer space.
That's what I thought when I saw Metal Sonic, was like, they're not only going to do Metal Sonic, right? And then they showed Amy, and it made more sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, as soon as Metal Sonic appeared, I'm like, okay, you're gonna do Amy, because they're probably gonna be loosely adapting Sonic CD, and the two are, like, linked, you know?
So we're gonna have
like if you have one, you have to have the other.
I think a Sonic 4 that incorporates Sonic CD with some elements of Amy from Adventure, maybe.
Yeah.
Or just maybe some stuff from Adventure 1, period. I think it would be cool if they're building up to a big thing with these movies, or whatever the fuck they do. All movies do this nowadays, I guess. Then having Perfect Chaos be some kind of like movie wrap up at this point would be pretty badass if they really want to go that far.
I thought for sure that's what they were setting up in the second movie, because that's the whole thing with Perfect Chaos, is that he's sealed inside the Master Emerald, and then the Master Emerald breaks in the second movie, and the Chaos Emeralds come running out, and I'm like, oh shit, oh, but that doesn't happen. It's just a thing they could do whenever they want. In case of emergency, break Emerald and get Chaos Emeralds.
Do you think they'll do a Metal Overlord? Is that the direction they're going?
If
that could be cool. That could be really cool.
Because at this point, after seeing how they adapted SA2, I really feel like they can just adapt the games in whatever way they want. Like, they can be like, okay, we'll pull this from Sonic CD, but also this from Adventure and this from Heroes or something. Like, because at this point, they've basically been doing whatever.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, I have faith that they'll get the character of Amy right.
I guess I'm just, because 2 and 3 are incredibly similar in the sense that their flagship characters are rival characters that they center the entire movie around until Sonic and them reconcile. So I kind of wonder how they'll make a fourth film with Amy contrast that and be something a little different, maybe.
For the first time, I'm really not sure where they're going with these movies next. Because you see Shadow and you kind of know what to expect, but with Amy and Metal Sonic, I don't really know how you adapt Sonic CD. I mean, like, they'll take creative liberties, of course, but that just means I have no idea what they're going to do with it.
Well, you know, it's like when Metal Sonic first appeared, it's like, oh, okay. But then, like, multiple Metal Sonics appeared. Like a shit ton. And I thought that was really interesting, and it kind of got me thinking about that, not that I think they would do this, but maybe like a very loose adaptation of the metal virus thing from the comics.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like maybe
or some
they could
kind
do something
of
like that.
more broadly a zombie-inspired narrative where the zombies are just Metal Sonics.
Yeah. I don't know, like they definitely got stuff to do, you know. It's definitely interesting to see what they will do, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's cool. I'm ready. I have faith. They've earned it.
Yeah.
Like, by all accounts, these movies should not work. Like, especially because, you know, King, you were talking about, like, cinematic universes and how you have to set up, like, 15 different sequels or whatever. And, like, so few of those attempts have worked. Like, you've got the Monsterverse and the MCU, of course, but then, like, the DCEU crashed and burned. Now they're rebooting it. Alex Kurtzman tried to do that dark universe for Universal where they take, like, Frankenstein and the Mummy and Dracula and try to make a cinematic universe out of it. And that flopped. So the fact that, you know, these movies have done so well and have gone over so well, and that they're potentially heading into a fourth one, and there doesn't seem to be and they have the TV show too, which maybe we can talk about a bit because I heard it was awful.
I think it's just a bit. The emotion I had the most watching Sonic 3 was it was very surreal. Not only because they were adapting SA2, but because the reception of the movie was like better than the other two, and now it's like a thing people know about.
Yeah.
People will have gone out and seen them play Live and Learn while they go super in space. Like, that's a thing that will just be part of a new generation's childhood, and that's kind of crazy to me.
It's validating for sure.
I mean, I don't necessarily care about the validating part of it. It is kind of validating, I guess, but like, it's more so I just think it's kind of cool that it feels like we've come a bit full circle there. I don't know.
Yeah. It's
like breached. Because I think as much as SA2 was a very successful game and a lot of people knew about it, at that time, video games weren't nearly as popular as they are now.
Yeah.
So like doing it again on this broad of a scale is like pretty cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
A lot of general audiences are just seeing this shit and actually enjoying it, even if it's a kid's film, and that speaks to some kind of quality.
Yeah.
Yes. So King, I think you're the only one who saw the Knuckles show. If you want to give like your quick thoughts on that.
Wait a minute. Were you there, Ryan?
No.
Okay. Then I guess I am the only one who watched the Knuckles show. I have very fuzzy memories of that. I may have had a few drinks when we watched the Knuckles show, because that show was one of the most agonizing shows I've ever seen.
I'm sorry, Mom. It is what it was.
Like, I like the Sonic movies. The Knuckles show was not good, in my opinion. It was, oof.
Knuckles.
Knuckles.
Knuckles. That's what I said. Knuckles.
You're not saying that. You're making like a CH.
I think you might be able to watch the Knuckles show as, like, ironically, probably. Because there are some, like...
Me specifically, or
funny
people in general?
moments. Yeah, I think you could find enjoyment from it if you watched it.
Woo! Karaoke time. You ready, Susie's dad, whose name I can't remember?
For the third time, it's Bill.
I don't care. Do you believe in heaven above? Do you believe in love?
But they gave him his hat.
It's like... I'm not going to say there's nothing in there for Knuckles as a character, but...
I only eat grapes. And Cool Ranch Doritos.
So the big meme is that it focuses on Wade Whipple, who in this movie is guarding the Master Emerald. And that's because he becomes an Echidna warrior in the Knuckles show. Spoilers, I guess. That's like the whole arc, is that Knuckles is trying to train Wade Whipple to become an Echidna warrior because Knuckles realizes that he's the only Echidna left. And that sounds like a decent premise, except that the way that they do that is to make the show entirely the silly gag scenes from the movies. And Wade Whipple has about 80% screen time in it, and it's basically about him the entire time.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Nicolas Cage.
I think his family members show up more than Knuckles does in his own show.
Dad, you gave me up. How could you? Just like when you abandoned me at that TJ Maxx.
So that's very interesting. There's a scene where I'm not joking about this. There's a scene where they're having dinner, I think, they're a Jewish family, and they're having a conversation about it, and they basically induct Knuckles into becoming Jewish. And I'm not joking about that. That is a scene that happens.
Is he Jewish?
Oh, yeah, on his half, I think.
Mother's side?
I was about to say, I think so.
I don't know what else to say other than it is a bizarre show that I ironically enjoyed while having many drinks. That's what I'll say about it.
I just know about the one clip that was going around on Twitter.
The flames of disaster!
Yeah, that does happen, yeah. Yeah.
Fun fact, I actually completely forgotten who Wade was. So when people started complaining about the show on Twitter, I was just like, who's Wade?
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't call it Wade. They called it Knuckles. But
like Knuckles really, he doesn't have, like, he's just kind of the same from beginning to end. Wade is the one who has a character arc because Knuckles has to train him.
Yes.
So it's just a very bizarre situation. Like, it doesn't even really feel like Knuckles' show, which I guess would be fine, but it's just not interesting at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, like, I think it's only 6 episodes, but it feels like it could have been like a TV movie, but it's way longer than a TV movie would be. So it's just like, it becomes agonizing by the end of it.
Right, because they have like this much story and you're stretching it out to like, what, an hour an episode, 40 minutes an episode?
Yeah. I think it was like, I don't know, it's longer than a movie, definitely, but I don't know. I don't think it worked. And you don't even have to watch it. I mean, evidently, you don't even have to watch it to watch Sonic 3 because the only thing that you'd miss out on is that Wade Whipple's now an Echidna warrior who guards the Master Emerald, and that's it. And that's like one scene in Sonic 3.
Knuckles' fists turned fire in one scene, and that was, I didn't know what that was, but I thought it looked
cool. And I
cool.
guess people know what the flames of fucking disaster are for some reason.
Okay, so like, is that just what that Fire Fist move is called, or is he like possessed by Iblis? Or
no, yeah, that's what the fire move is called. But there's a scene where they, in Wade's mind, they have like they reenact a musical in his mind. I don't even remember what causes this, but they're like in his head.
I heard there was one episode
happening.
That was really bad, and maybe that's the musical episode.
He's like, he gets caught by like the main antagonist, who's like some random human guy who like trying to hunt Knuckles or something, and he goes into like his mind. And they have like a play set up, and that's when the flames of disaster gets dropped. And I remember seeing that and being like, are they talking about Iblis? Because there's like a weird monster on screen. It doesn't really look like Iblis, but like it is a weird, strange monster in the play. And they're like, the flames of disaster or something. I'm like, okay, this is very fucking weird, but I guess this is happening right now. But then I guess that's just what they call Knuckles' flame move now.
Huh.
I don't know. It's weird.
Ryan, what was the
I would not
charge
recommend
up?
Watching that show unless you have a very high irony enjoyment and have a few drinks.
I do like drinks. I might make one.
And you can make some of your famous beer bread.
Ooh.
And invite some
That was
people
some
over.
good bread.
Oh, I appreciate it. I'll make it during the bachelor party.
Hell yeah.
You know what I actually made, XO? I made, with my partner, we made deep fried chicken sandwiches a few days ago. Imagine,
I saw a picture of those.
I'll post a picture in the chat right now. They were quite good, and we made a lot, and we didn't mean to.
They look like they would give me a bad time, is all I'm going to say.
Oh.
They would taste good, and they would give my body a bad time.
You'd be visited by Sans in the middle of the night and have to get up and use the bathroom.
Check that out.
Oh, those look wonderful.
They do actually look like they'd taste really good. It's just it would not agree with my body, I don't think.
You don't do good with fried foods?
Not in that quantity, probably not, no.
Man.
You know, Ryan, it's interesting that your girlfriend is named Jenna, because you two have great synergy.
Hey. That joke was golden, son.
Not to be confused with Golden Boy, which is an anime.
And not to be confused with Rising of the Golden Sun, which is a book or something. I don't know.
Not to be confused with Empire of the Sun, a film by Steven Spielberg.
Not to be confused with The Flames of Disaster.
Oh my god.
Not to be confused with The Sunlit Man, which is a book by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, shit.
I just got my mom a Brandon Sanderson book for Christmas.
Which one?
Mistborn.
Yay!
Mistborn, yeah.
Mistborn. That's
I'm almost done with the Stormlight Archive. I have the 5th book now.
Aren't those books like 1,000 pages long a piece?
The audiobook for Wind and Truth, which is the most recent one and longest one, was 64 hours in length.
Oh
Christ.
My god. You could maybe finish Persona 3 in that time.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
currently
worth
listening.
It, though. Stormlight Archive's worth it. Everybody needs to listen to / read it now.
I'm getting on it. I'm wrapping up the Mistborn books. Not wrapping up right now. I'm only on the second book, but they're good.
And that's
like
probably a good idea because apparently all of his books, I'm not going to say they take place in like an MCU thing, but like they're all different planets in a shared universe that have slight Easter egg crossover, but is not required reading. You can read Stormlight without having read Mistborn and stuff. I think it's a smart construction. But I've fallen in love with his books. I think everybody should read them.
We should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, we should get Brandon Sanderson on the podcast to read Sonic fan fiction.
Oh my god.
So, Brandon, we want you to narrate a Shadow's colonoscopy. Can you do that for us? We're not paying you, by the way.
Well, I'm sure if it's short enough, he'd do it pro bono just because it's funny. Or maybe we can find some Stormlight yaoi that he can read on the show.
I guarantee you that exists out there.
That covers the Paramount Movieverse, which means that we have to move on to the main event, which may or not take as long.
We have to move on.
We have to,
you know, the lesser, Sonic X Shadow Generations, the side show.
Before we do.
Oh, do you have a fan fiction?
No. Can we take a potty break? I gotta pee.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
I'll be right back.